Hi, everyone. Ed Bixby here from the Global Green Burial Alliance. And today is Spotlight Now. I'm here with Stephanie Sinclair-Lappi. She is an ambassador for Resomation water cremation in the country of Finland and supports natural organic reduction efforts there as well. Stephanie is currently working to get both of these ecological burial methods legally accepted in Finland. Stephanie is currently working to establish Finland's first natural burial cemetery, Evergrove. Stephanie is the founder of the Finnish Society of Natural Burials and trains end-of-life caretakers in green burial matters. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad to have you here. Again, thanks for the support with the GGBA. And so let me ask you, Stephanie, what does the landscape, being we have a lot of viewers here that will be interested in you forming something new, in a country that, maybe doesn't or does practice this now. What is the current practice, and does it align with natural burial practices that we know today?
Well, in Finland, it has, if you think back historically, there have been natural burial grounds, for example, in forests. But for quite a long time, the very conventional, more of a concrete paved cemetery is what people are seeing, and mostly people opt for a casket burial or then cremation, flame cremation. Those are the only currently offered options in Finland.
Oh, okay. Is there any type of legislation, or do you have to change any laws in order to practice natural burial in Finland?
Well, the law does allow one to establish a cemetery, but there's a lot of bureaucracy, so it's not the most simplest thing. The problem is that we can't really promise that the cemetery is ecological or green if the burial practices are not green. So that's where the law kind of interferes at the moment. And that's what we're working towards, our efforts to collect enough signatures on a public petition to get it then addressed as an alteration in the law. And we're looking to have both water cremation and natural organic reduction accepted as options alongside the more traditional ones here in Finland. And then I would say that then if you have a natural cemetery, a natural burial ground, then it actually would be ecological.
Right, absolutely. And that's very similar to what is happening here in North America. Mm-hmm. As one state in the United States adopts or creates licensing for those processes, others seem to follow suit. So I would have to believe in a beautiful country like Finland that we're told it's the happiest place in the world, and that people, really embrace the environment. And I think that it's a perfect fit, and we commend you for your efforts. Let me ask you, Stephanie, so when it comes to resomation, let's say, and natural organic reduction, how are people, how are they viewing it? Are people really interested? Do you see a great interest in those processes?
There has been more interest in the last couple of years. I think we're kind of following suit of other countries, like you mentioned, in North America. Similarly here, looking towards other countries in Europe and seeing how things have progressed in Norway, for example, or the Netherlands. I think that there's still a lot of just misconceptions. And so part of what we're doing is just answering questions. For example, just the term water cremation in Finland has the translations that is used is just the kind of water ashing in a way. So a lot of people have been like, oh, does that just mean having the ashes thrown into some water? Like, no. So it has to do with getting the word out. And I think, thanks for your kind words about Finland. I think, the happiness comes a lot from having nature so abundantly around us and affect everyone's lives. And I think that most people would like to choose an ecological option, and that's why there is interest, even though it's a slow path to change laws. But
yeah. Well, but you always have to be the first, and I always said, if there is no one voice in the room, then there will never be any understanding and there will never be any change. So, it really comes down to, and it sounds to me like that's what you're doing, is educating when it comes to the transparency of a process. No one really understands anything until they get it broken down. So that's really great to hear. So tell me, I know that you're working on the first natural burial ground. Do you have a particular property that has been chosen, or are you looking at multiple locations?
We have chosen our first and purchased that. There's this region in Finland called Koli, which is kind of almost sacred to many people. Very natural state kind of grove where there's a lot of history there, and people kind of hike the area a lot. They find calm there. So we're looking to establish the first cemetery there, and the ultimate goal is to have a chain of these around Finland. Geographically, we're quite large, and the distances are again not very ecological to travel for hours to have a funeral or to visit the graves. So hoping to have this is the first of many, and to help people open their own place. So that could be a new kind of livelihood, is if let's say you've had a farm or a forest and you think, oh, this would be a lovely spot for a Ikilehto or Evergrove cemetery, and then you could become an entrepreneur in that field. So that's what we're looking to change.
Absolutely. And I like that approach. I think that's really an interesting, but it's something familiar to myself, because we were offering it in one location and getting people from all over the country coming there. So we decided to branch out and create more space. But I like your attitude in the sense that you said that, teaching others, to be able to create these spaces, because it's important. And there's plenty for everyone, because every community really deserves a space like this recreationally. I heard you mention the word hiking and things like that, and I think that's really a key point when it comes to what we're doing. Making a space for the living. That's great. I really appreciate it. What other exciting things are going on in Finland when it comes to, the funeral industry? Are they really looking to the green space for the future, or do you feel as if that needs a little more work when it comes to convincing maybe the professionals?
I think there is a lot of interest or even pressure towards greener methods. There's a lot of talk and work surrounding biodiversity and just rewilding, enriching the nature of all areas, and the cemeteries are part of that. I think there's also a lot of new kind of, well, every country is becoming more multicultural. There's different faiths, there's different needs, and people want options. So especially in like end of life care, I've noticed that there's the need to train new people to help families choose for themselves, because we've had this very standardized model, like this is how we have a cemetery chosen, and funeral options are this and burial options are this, and now it's like this doesn't really fit me or my family or my faith or values anymore. So it's happened already in other things, like people getting married or naming their child, or like education in schools is going towards people being able to choose something that's closer to what they feel is themselves, and not really ruling anything out that we have, just bringing more color to it, more options.
Absolutely.
More transparency in the pricing too. Part of it is just getting the monopoly of, there's a bit of a cartel with some of the pricing as well. So equaling the playing board for that as well.
Absolutely. You got to keep, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but here in the United States, we say you got to keep people honest, and if there's competition, competition can level the playing field, as you said, keep people honest. So I think that's great. Let me ask you, Stephanie, out of curiosity, I'm sure that the viewers would like to know. As natural burial has existed since the dawn of time. It's nothing new. Just bringing ourselves back to our roots. What we already have in our DNA. We have the ability to care for our loved ones in death. It's just built in us. What were the traditional, if I may say it this way, and I know that there's different cultures and different things, but let's say if we were to transport ourselves back to maybe like 1800s, what would have happened in Finland? Would there have been a traditional way, or what were they doing then? Is it any different than what everyone else has done? And I only ask this because I'm just curious if the new spaces you create, if they can accommodate, kind of bring people back in time. What did the Finnish people do prior to, let's say, conventional burial?
Yeah, I like that idea of remembering. I think we do kind of find peace in things that, even though it didn't happen during our life, perhaps something in what our grandparents told us, or even kind of on a cell level, you just remember and find peace. In Finland, it was very much the sacred trees. So every family had a tree that they had chosen in their yard, near their yard, and a lot of the kind of respect for people who had passed on connected in with that tree, and kind of the spirit of that tree as well, not just on a biological level, but a more spiritual level. So all the connections to nature, like birds returning as kind of messengers, or first helping the soul to travel onwards and then coming back to greet and console loved ones. And just a sense of community. That's another thing that's kind of been lost here. That we used to have, the whole kind of town come together to say their farewells, and now people don't really have that mindset. It's more of a rushed, even clinical end of life sometimes. And so I would like to have this place where nature would comfort you and have space for all of your feelings, and you'd feel just better and at ease visiting and remembering.
That's a lovely vision, and I think you're spot on. I say to my customers all the time that we've lost touch with death and dying. We've made it a subject that we don't really want to talk about. But prior to let's say television and movies and all the things that fill our life now, it was a very large part of our life, and visiting our loved ones in death, was something that happened all the time. Mm-hmm. But it is in our DNA. And even if it was something that we didn't experience, it's almost a bit of an epiphany when someone does experience it and they say to you, I didn't know I could do that, because it really is truly, within who we are. And I love that. I'll tell you, the Finnish tradition of, having that tree. Well, that sounds so lovely, because that's really what it's all about. We're all living beings, and we come and go, and we may return. And so I love that. I think that's a wonderful thing to say. And I think you'll capture that within your space. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah, very, very beautiful. So let me ask you, in all of our spotlights, we love to kind of ask a fun question. Explain to us, or maybe you could share what you think, or what you would like to see happen, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years, a vision as to where you're at, and what you would like to see Finland be when it comes to resomation and natural organic reduction and natural burial, let's say 10 years from now.
Yeah, I think that Finland could be like a model nation in this. I think that Finland has a lot to offer when it comes to doing things in a very humane way, but also in an effective way. So we've led the way in many technological innovations, and I could see that this would be the next thing, so that resomation would be legalized here, as well as natural organic reduction, and then just a more humane way of, like you said, people are sometimes kind of removed from death nowadays, and I'd like to bring back the feeling of it being just part of the cycle, and us feeling connected and rooted to our lineage and people who come after us. So bringing those options and those choices to end-of-life care, and of course having a beautiful spot like Evergrove, Ikilehto, open its gates. We've already had people choose it, select it for themselves, but we haven't been able to open it quite yet. So hoping that the paperwork clears on that, and we are funded for it, and we're able to build what we see. And it feels really wonderful that what I see, I'm not alone I found so many wonderful people around Finland and in the Nordics, in Estonia, who see this same thing. Maybe it's because it's already been, but we're just waiting to step into it. So
that's wonderful. That's a wonderful vision of what it would be and what it will be, because everything starts with a dream, and if you don't dream it, it won't happen. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. Is there anything that we can do, the Global Green Burial Alliance and our community, to help support your efforts? Let us know. I mean, we will absolutely, in any way, shape, or form, if we can help you, because it's new, or maybe a newer conversation, maybe we can help the conversation become easier with things that we've done in the past. So just lean on us if you need to. We'd love to be able to support you. And where can the viewers find more information, Stephanie, about what you're doing and maybe lending support that way? Do you have a website or anything that we can share?
it is in Finnish.
Oh,
But yes, Ikilehto is our website, and then Luontohautausliitto. So you just have to learn a bit of this tricky language of ours, but we are in the process of translating them into English. So resomation.com is in English, and so that's the only one that kind of has our news in Finnish as a separate newsletter. And
well,
thank you for your support. I mean, it's just great to connect and kind of bridge all these different efforts around the world to move this in the right direction.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure. And just know, Stephanie, I think the most interesting thing about what we do is that the reason it is a global effort is that we all, no matter where we live, we all have the same experiences, and ultimately it all comes back to the same place. So that's what's great, to be able to support everyone in this effort. So the Global Green Burial Alliance does thank you for coming on today, and we encourage everyone to support Stephanie Sinclair-Lappi and Evergrove, and thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.